The season begins with some weird animation showing a baby being born and a bunch of hands giving it power. I guess now we know where babies come from. Ichigo begins his training with Ichibai Hyasube, the captain of Squad Zero. Ichigo wants to go back to the Soul Society, but Ichibai explains to him that if he leaves now, he will die. Yhwach gathers the Quincy army to announce that he has chosen Uryuu as his successor, which shocked the Sternritters who considered Hashwolf more worthy for the post. After hearing the news, Bambietta calls another Quincy to her room where she used him to satisfy her needs then kill him. I honestly cannot think of a better way to die. While in a creepy dark room together, Uryuu asks Yhwach why he chose him to be the successor. Yhwach explains to him that it's because he was the only Quincy to survive the House Oswalin. Uryuu explains that he accepts who he really is, and he will kill all the Soul Reapers. He then drinks Yhwach blood to complete the ritual to awaken his powers. No diddy. In Hueco Mundo, Orihime and Chad begin training as well, while Urahara researches the Quincy Medallion. Ichibai leads Ichigo to a special place in the Royal Palace, which can only be accessed with permission from the Soul King, in order to train him and make him stronger. Ichibai explains that he needs to make Ichigo even stronger than a Soul Reaper. Before the test begins, Ichibai has to test Ichigo to see if he is worthy of surpassing a Soul Reaper. Rukia and Renji continue their training in the Royal Palace. For a minute, I thought this was an episode of Bratty Stepsis. Meanwhile, Byakuya recovers in Kurenji's hot spring while Kurenji watches him with no clothes on. No diddy. Kairaka goes to Earth and explains to Ichigo friends that he is currently training. However, he is not sure how much stronger he will become and how it will affect the world. Due to this, he gives them tickets to the Soul Society so they can visit him. Suddenly, a dark dome covers the Siri-IDI, and the Quincy army attacks. Yhwach declares that he will retake the world in 9 days, based on the Quincy song, the Kaiserga sang. Side note, this outro kinda slaps. Hashwolf tells the Sternritters who took Bankais from the captains, to defeat the captains they stole the Bankai from. A skin shows up in the 12th squad's place and says the Quincy hideout, the Wandenrake, was made with Quincy powers and is hidden in the Siri-IDI shadows. Mayuri and Nimue Kurotsuchi come out of Mayuri's secret lab, where he explains that he knew the Quincy's were using shadows, so he used lights to prevent them from attacking him. The side characters fight it out on the Siri-IDI streets where they are quickly defeated. Captain Hitsugaya and Lieutenant Ranjaku confront Sternritter Basbi, and they begin to fight. Hitsugaya was struggling without his Bankai, so he asked Ranjaku for her help, and she started to blush. They combine their powers to create a stronger ice. Basbi shoots another fire blast at them, however, he is unable to break the ice. They launch a huge attack and freezes Basbi in a giant block of ice. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Omida from Squad 2 tries to shield his little sister from Sternritter KBG9. He was about to kill Omida, but Captain Soifon shows up and saves them. Soifon shows off her new power, explaining that she finally perfected her Shun KO. Inside the lab, everyone can feel Soifon overpowering the enemy. However, a skin explains to them that their master predicted this would happen, which means that things won't end well for the Soul Reapers. Basbi melts the ice, which shocked everyone, and explains that just one of his fingers is enough to defeat them. Hitsugaya told everyone to leave while he held off Basbi. Basbi shoots a flame from his finger, which breaks through Hitsugaya ice and hits him. BG9 shoots rockets at Soifon, which she easily dodges. However, he catches up to her, then blows her up. Hitsugaya tries to run from Basbi, however, he is able to catch up and hit Hitsugaya with an attack which knocks him out. Suddenly, Urahara contacts Mayuri and says he's found a way to get back the stolen Bankais. Songdu joins the fight and reveals that he's already beaten Ranjaku, which shocks Hitsugaya. Songdu tells Basbi he will kill Hitsugaya with the Bankai that he stole. Urahara shows up at the 12th squad place and tells Mayuri how he came up with a plan to get back stolen Bankais and stop them from being stolen again. He talks about the Shinyaku, a pill that makes Bankais poisonous to Quincy's for a short time. He made it after seeing Quilge Opie struggle with controlling Raisher from Aaron Cars. He sends the pills to everyone with a Bankai. BG9 tries to capture Soifon, but Omida gives her the pill. She uses her Bankai to blow up BG9. Hitsugaya uses the pill and gets his Bankai back and powers up. Songdu tries to attack, but his attacks are too weak. Hitsugaya holofies and manages to kill Songdu with a single strike. Unfortunately, he collapses after the fight. Meanwhile, side characters surround Shinji Hirako and his squad. Shinji Bankai affects the enemy senses and makes them fight each other. With Iasegawa from the 11th squad, Hisagi from the 9th squad, and Madarame from the 11th squad, they take the Shinaya-ku. Suddenly, Masked Masculine from the Stern Ritter S shows up and attacks them. They all tried to fight him, but they were too weak and couldn't even land a hit on him. Bambietta Basterbine from Stern Ritter E leads her group to find Kamamura from the 7th squad. Her squad leaves her because she's annoying and won't stop talking. She gets upset and blows up the area, injuring a bunch of side characters, but Kamamura arrives wearing armor to stop her. He says he's in a hurry to avenge Yamamoto by fighting Yuhabaha, but Shinji shows up and tells him that he will fight Bambietta. Shinji uses his Bankai on Bambietta to affect her senses, making it hard for her to fight. She gets upset and blows up everything again. Suddenly, all the Stern Ritters power up. Bambietta explains that the Bankai was sealing their powers, but now that it's gone, they can use their full power. Meanwhile, Ichigo is in the Soul Palace, enduring pain and seeing visions of a man in a pool of Reisure, which becomes clearer and shows the Soul King. Bambietta uses her Volstandic powers to blast Shinji by blowing up everything, since she can't use her senses. Kamamura and Momo Hinamori from the 5th squad join the fight. Bambietta shoots a bomb at Kamamura, which blows up his arm. She explains that her power makes things explode when her Reisure hits them, and nothing can stop it. She blows off Kamamura's helmet, showing his new human form. Kamamura got this form by giving his heart to his clan elder, making him almost impossible to kill while he's human. The elder explains to him that he has to rip out his heart with his hands and give it to him to perform the Jinka technique. Momo takes Shinji away while Kamamura fights Bambietta. He activates his Bankai, which is a giant statue. Bambietta tries to attack it, but her attacks had no effect since the statue wasn't alive and couldn't feel anything. She decides to attack Kamamura instead. However, due to the Jinka technique, Kamamura cannot be killed. Kamamura hits Bambietta and blows her up with her own exploding Reisure. Kamamura tries to go towards Yuhabaha, but his heart fails, and he turns into a mindless wolf which cannot talk. His lieutenant, Tetsuzeman Iba, shows up and carries him away. Uryuu shows up through a portal and takes the beaten Songdu and BG9 away to get help. With help from his fan James, Mask beats the Soul Reapers. But before he can finish them off, Kensei Mugaruma from the 9th squad and Rojuro, Rose, Odoribishi from the 3rd squad show up and stop him. Meanwhile, Ichibai tells Ichigo that he's seeing the past of the Soul Society through the Soul King's powers. Ichigo absorbs the power successfully and moves on to Senjamarv, Shitara's palace. Kairaku tells the remaining 30% of the Soul Reapers that's left to meet up at safe spots, led by Mayuri. Kensei uses his powerful Bankai Tekken Tachike's attack on Mask. Mask falls to the ground and almost vomits out his guts. Kensei grabs him and starts to pound him with his Bankai. No diddy. Mask gets back up and punches both captains because of James cheering. Kensei gets up and tries to pound Mask again. However, his attacks don't work. Mask grabs him and starts to pound him into the ground until he's unconscious. Rose gets up and kills James to stop him from cheering. He activates his Bankai Kinshirabutadin and attacks Mask. Mask gets hit by a huge amount of water, then a huge ball of fire which starts to burn him, but then figures out that there shouldn't be a Zanpakuto that controls both fire and water. Rose admits it's all a trick. He controls illusions with sound. So, Mask destroys his own eardrum to counter it and blasts a hole through Rose which knocks him out. Like, seriously, how do these Soul Reapers keep surviving these deadly attacks? The guy literally has a hole in his belly. Before Mask can finish off the two captains, Renji stops him easily. Rukia arrives too, after completing intense training with Squad Zero, making them both much stronger. Rukia takes the captains to safety, while Renji handles Mask's attacks. Mask gets stronger with his Volstandig and launches a big attack on Renji, accidentally burning James too. But Renji blocks it with his new, complete Bankai, Soo Zabamar. Before, Renji couldn't fully control Zabamark because it didn't fully accept him. But now, he can, and he uses its new move, So'o Zabamaru, Zagatepo, to defeat Mask. Yhwach absorbs the leftover erasure from Mask in front of Uryuu. Then, he disappears into a shadow, and Jugram Hashwalth comes out. Uryuu asks why he's there, and Hashwalth explains that not only he and Yhwach are connected, but all Quincy's and Yhwach. Since Uryuu is now Yhwach's chosen successor, Hashwalth decides to explain what Yhwach is and where his powers come from. After finishing his training with Squad Zero, Ichigo heads down to the Siriidii and tells Urahara that he's on his way. Hashwalth takes Uryuu to Judge BG9, and Songdo a big scale shows up behind Hashwalth, and the two defeated guys lose their powers and die. Hashwalth explains that when people with part of Yhwach's soul die, Yhwach sucks up their powers, knowledge, and skills along with their soul. Rukia searches the Siriidii and runs into Sternritter F. as Not, a desperate, lonely loser looking for Byakuya. As Not launches an attack at Rukia, however, she blocks it with her ice. The attack goes through the ice and hits Rukia, however, it has no effect on her. Now much stronger and knowing her Zanpakuto's true power, which is freezing stuff to absolute zero, Rukia freezes as Not. He gets mad and activates his Volstandig, spreading fear just by looking at his ugly, disgusting body. Rukia tries to attack, but as Not dodges all her attacks easily. He starts yapping and giving his villain speech, but Byakuya shows up and stops his villain speech. As Not tries to attack Byakuya, but he easily stops his attack without even using his Bankai. Byakuya tells Rukia that she is strong, and he will let her kill as Not. She activates her Bankai, Haka no Togame, to freeze everything including as Not and kills him instantly. Byakuya supports Rukia while she uses her Bankai, and he tells her to practice with it so she doesn't hurt herself. Meanwhile, Isane and Yachiru Kusajishi from the 11th Squad are attacked by a Sternritter while they're taking care of Rose and Kinsei. The Sternritter named V. Gwynal Lee can make himself disappear from his opponent's senses and thoughts, but he gets frustrated when Yachiru punches him in the face before he could finish his villain speech. He tries to attack again, but Yachiru cuts his face. Imagine getting beaten up by a little girl. Yhwach must be turning in his sleep right now. Then, the real Sternritter V. Gremmy Thumos shows up and explains that he can make his thoughts become real. He imagines Lee as just a thought and erases him after he kills Rose and Kinsei. Yachiru tries to attack him, but Gremmy imagines Yachiru's bones as cookies and breaks her arm. Kenpachi the goat arrives and tells Isane that Unohana has died. Gremmy makes his body stronger than steel, but Kenpachi easily cuts him. They continued to fight, but none of his attacks were able to stop Kenpachi. He imagines a meteor crashing down on Siriidii. Kenpachi reveals his Zanpakuto's name, Nozarashi, which is a giant blade. He uses its power to split the meteor and destroy it with one strike. Gremmy creates many copies of himself and imagines Kenpachi in space. Even though Kenpachi is hurt, he breaks free and hits Gremmy. He tries to blow up Kenpachi, but he just eats the bomb like a snack. Gremmy gets jealous of Kenpachi's toughness and tries to make himself as strong as Kenpachi, but it backfires, causing Gremmy's body to break down because Gremmy's weak body couldn't handle Kenpachi's power. As he's dying, Gremmy shows that his real body is just a brain. Even though Kenpachi is badly hurt inside, he keeps looking for Yachiru, who's gone missing. Suddenly, he's attacked by Bambietta's group, made up of Sternritters T. Candace Catnip, Z. James Charles, P. Minimus McAllon, and G. Liltato Lampert. The side characters tried to defend Kenpachi, but they died instantly. At first, Kenpachi fights back, but he's outnumbered and overpowered by their combined strength. Then, Ichigo shows up out of nowhere and makes his superhero entrance, blasting a hole to the Soul Palace.
Now you feel like number one, shining bright for.
He easily blows away the 4 Sternritters just by using the wind from his movements. A Sternritter tried a sneak attack, but Ichigo quickly reminded her that he's the main character. The 4 Sternritters get mad that Ichigo is also a special war power like Kenpachi, so they power up to fight him. But Ichigo easily dodges all their attacks and overpowers them. Candace gets mad that she's not the main character and shoots a big lightning bolt at Ichigo, but he uses a special move called Getsuga Jujisho, made by combining 2 of his sword attacks, and cuts off her arm. Giselle then uses a dead Soul Reaper's body to make a new arm for Candace. As they try to get ready for another attack, Bazz uses his power, Burner Finger 1, to knock them all down and take the credit for beating Ichigo himself. But then, 3 more Stern Ritters show up. With Ichigo outnumbered 8-1, he tries to fly away to where Yhwach is, planning to invade the Soul Palace through the hole Ichigo made. Renji, Rukia, Byakuya, Hisagi, Yumachika, and Ikkaku step in to fight the Stern Ritters, giving Ichigo a chance to go to Yhwach. Uryuu surprises Ichigo by shooting at him, revealing he's on the enemy's side. When Uryuu uses his power, Licht Regan, Chad, and Orihime arrive from Hueco Mundo to block it. As Yhwach goes up with Hashwolf and Uryuu, they're all amazed by what's happening. Yhwach going up to the Soul Palace causes a big blast that blows away everything nearby. Kairako wonders why Ichibai let Yhwach go up so easily instead of trying to stop them. Urahara shows up and takes them to the 12th Division barracks. James Charles tries to play the woman card to escape from Ikkaku and Yumachika, but they weren't simps, and they know she's a guy pretending to be a girl. James Charles summons Bambietta, who he turned into a puppet after she died. Mayuri made a special cannon to shoot Ichigo's group back up to the palace. It needs a lot of power to work, so Urahara made Yurichi Shihoin and the other visored collect energy from weird spots in the human world made by Quincy's. Giselle explains that they can turn Soul Reapers into zombies just by touching them with a little bit of their blood, but they need a Quincy to be dead before they can control them. So, he killed Bambietta himself and turned her into a zombie. Ikkaku and Yumachika struggle to fight against Bambietta's power, and they're almost turned into zombies until Mayuri and Nimue show up. Mayuri made a device to stop Bambietta's power, so she can't control them anymore. The device paused Reichi for a few seconds and prevented Bambietta's bombs from exploding immediately. Giselle brings in a bunch of zombified Soul Reapers, mostly from Squad 11. Then, Mayuri shows his own zombie team, made of reanimated Arrancar's Luppy Antenor, Dordoni Alessandro del Sacaccio, Saruchi Sanderwichi, and Charlotte Chulhorn, taken from Sailaporo Grance's lab. These resurrected Arrancars easily beat James Charles zombies, so James Charles brings in a zombified Hitsugaya to fight. Hitsugaya, all zombie-like, knocks down Ikkaku, Yumachika, and Charlotte easily with a single strike. He then proceeds to beat them up and stabs them, injuring them. But then Mayuri comes in and saves them. An overconfident side character steps in and starts yapping, but Hitsugaya humbles him real quick. He uses drugs to wake up Hitsugaya's brain slowly and control him instead of letting him run wild. James Charles brings in more zombies: Kensei, Rose, and Matsumoto. Saruchi, Luppy, and Dordoni join the fight too, making things even. Mayuri uses his drugs to control them too, snatching them from James Charles. Meanwhile, Byakuya takes on a group of Stern Ritters alone, but they were too weak, and he defeated them very easily. Meninas and Liltato watch from a distance, eating and enjoying the fight. Hisagi joins up with Byakuya, but then tries to attack him. Pepe Wakabrata, aka Fat Diddy, a creepy weirdo who can make things with a soul fall in love with him using his special power, takes control of Hisagi and then Meninas to knock Liltato away, getting rid of the competition. Byakuya tries to block Pepe's attack, but instead he starts to control Sinbin Zakura, which turns against Byakuya. Byakuya throws away the sword, but Hisagi picks it up and starts to attack Byakuya. Mayuri and the zombie Soul Reapers show up just in time to save Byakuya. Kensei uses his power to defeat Pepe and even takes down his own partner. Pepe tries to beg for mercy from Liltato, but she takes revenge by getting rid of him. Meanwhile, Yhwach, Hashwolf, and Uryuu finally arrive at the Soul Palace. We see a flashback of when Ichibai met with young Yhwach to make a promise of peace with the Quincy's. Yhwach didn't fall for it though. He asked why the Soul King split up the world and brought the fear of death to people. The Quincy's tried to attack Ichibai, but he easily blocked their attack. Yhwach attacks Ichibai, but he stops his attack and blinds Yhwach permanently. In the present, Urahara uses a cannon to send Ichigo and his friends to the royal palace. Senjimaru and her soldiers confront Yhwach, Hashwolf, and Uryuu. Hashwaltha's soldiers are defeated easily, and they try to attack Yhwach, but Nianzal Weasel steps in and saves him. Nianzal Weasel starts yapping, but while he was doing that, Senjimara was already setting up her attack and kills him after he finishes talking. Yhwach brings in his top squad, the Shutstaffel. Leal shoots Senjimaru and they thought she was dead, but she survives and reveals they're in a fake soul palace made by Hikifune. Hikifune, Korinji, and Nemea show up. The Shutstaffel attacks Nemea, but he beats them easily and shocks everyone. Yhwach escapes the trap and heads to Ichigo's palace. At the old Squad 12 barracks, Kasuk is with some friends. They're getting ready to go to the royal palace. Ichigo fights Yhwach in the air, using a special sword that weakens his enemies by cutting their names. Korinji fights Hashwolf and defeats him. Uryuu fights Senjimaru, but she's too strong and knocks him out. Nemea is surprised that a skin survived. A skin explains he can't die easily because of his special power, which lets him control how much of a substance is lethal to others. A skin drinks some of his own blood, so if he gets Nemea's blood, it'll be deadly to him. But then Korinji helps Nemea by healing his poisoned blood with hot springs, and Nemea defeats a skin. Yhwach uses a powerful move to take away the powers of some people in the TYBW, like Bambietta and Bazbi. He gives those powers to himself and his allies, bringing back Hashwolf and others. Meanwhile, Kairaka leaves his place because he knows the real target is the Soul Palace. He teams up with Jushiro Yukitake, who's been sick but wraps himself up with something called Kamakaki so he can fight too. Leal quickly shoots Nemea. Nemea thinks it's because of Yhwach's power-up, but Leal says it's his own ability. He can shoot anything in the space between his gun and what he wants to hit. Hikifune and Korinji try to protect Nemea with their swords, but it doesn't work. Senjimaru takes Nemea away and heals him. Hikifune breaks open the barrier, so everyone fights one-on-one. Nemea dodges Leal's attacks and then attacks him. Ichigo uses different moves to hurt Yhwach and then changes his sword into a weapon that can splash ink. Ichigo tells Yhwach that his ink takes away the names of whatever it touches, making them powerless. Gerard breaks free and attacks Senjimaru. Pernita destroys Hikifune's roots and hurts her badly. The skin surprises Korinji and shoots him. Nemea tries to trick Leal by getting him to aim at Yhwach, but Leal shoots Nemea instead because his power only works on his target. Yhwach takes Ichigo's ink ability for himself. Despite insults from the Shutstaffel, Squad 0 gets back up. Nemea says they've hidden their true power to avoid causing massive destruction. They've connected their lives and sealed their true Zanpakuto away. Nemea asks Senjimaru to fight the Quincy's. Then he, Korinji, and Hikifune sacrifice themselves to unlock their powers and make Senjimaru stronger. Senjimaru traps the Quincy's in a special dimension using her Bankai, Shitatsu Karagara Shigaramanet Tsuji. Senjimaru's Bankai makes the ground shake in 3 worlds: the TYBW, the human world, and Hueco Mundo. Inside her Bankai's world, she uses her cloth to kill the Shutstaffel. Ichigo covers Yhwach in black ink, which his Shurkai absorbs from everything alive. Then Ichigo uses his Shin Uchi, an early version of Bankai, called Shirafeud Ikamanji. With it, he can take away the names of things painted black by his Shurkai, making them nameless. He renames Yhwach to a weak creature, Black Ant, and squashes him like a bug before throwing him off the Soul Palace. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe for more videos.